Hello, my name is Abby Linville, and this is my highlight video for my ePortfolio. I'm going to go through and highlight some of the components of the ePortfolio that I found to be most beneficial throughout the practicum process. So one of the first things that I found to be really impactful was creating a leadership philosophy. This activity allowed me to reflect on the experiences that I've had in my career that have shaped me as a leader today and that have had an impact on me. And it also had me reflect on what do I value in a leader and what do I think it's important for me as a leader as well. I found that to be a really reflective, impactful process, and I am happy that I was able to engage in that activity. When I'm looking at the other activities that we went through throughout the ePortfolio process, another one that had a huge impact on me was the annotated bibliography. So I had signed up for the Praxis, and then I took the Praxis test that they give you when you sign up. And from there, I was able to see maybe where I was weaker in some areas. And so I used that to kind of guide me as I started on the annotated bibliography. I aligned the questions to those areas, and then I chose articles to help me grow and strengthen my knowledge in those areas. So I found it, one, to be a really great process for like growing your knowledge and expanding your um, knowledge about leadership and making sure that you're reading really current and relevant information, but it also helped me study for the Praxis. And I will say that it worked. I was able to pass the Praxis on the first time, and when I looked at my scores for my final exam and compared them to the practice test that I took, I was able to grow in those areas that I focused on when I was choosing articles for my bibliography. So I found this to be extremely helpful and great for helping me study and grow my knowledge in educational leadership. When looking at completing my practicum hours on the activity log, I really took the opportunity to make those practicum hours count. I wanted to make sure that I was in classrooms, or not in classrooms, but in schools, taking advantage of leadership opportunities throughout this entire school year. So I did go over the amount of hours that I needed, but I really felt like I got some good, valuable learning experiences throughout it. So I'm going to highlight some of those activities that I did as part of my practicum that I felt were most impactful. Although I found all of them impactful, there are some that were like key and really helped me grow as a leader. The first one that I did under the district umbrella was creating an elementary grading policy. So during this, I worked with the assistant superintendent of student services, curriculum administrators in my district, and other instructional coaches. We had noticed that there wasn't a lot of continuity in grading processes across the district, and because we have a transient population, that was kind of impacting parents. They were seeing different grades for their student at different schools, and there was a vast difference. So we knew that we needed to create a common way to grade. And so we all sat down and created a policy that we will roll out in the fall of 2022. And I will get to be a part of that rollout process, and it will be a part of my grade level meetings that I will lead in the fall. So that's something that I'll get to continue on and see through into next year as well. Another thing that was impactful and allowed me to grow my instructional leadership skills was curriculum mapping. So I led curriculum mapping meetings all throughout the entire school year. I started with mapping meetings in July and continued them until third quarter. So curriculum mapping in my district was we use data to drive us in making curricular decisions. So I pulled data and had the teachers look at it and reflect on it, and then we use that to pace out our curriculum. We also took an opportunity to make sure that we had common assessments that were aligned to the state standards and are meeting the level of rigor that we need them to meet. And then we also then created some formative assessments to go in with that common assessment as well that teachers can use to help guide their instruction when they are in their classrooms as well. We also took the time to look at what are our areas of weakness and which instructional strategies can we pull that we can train our other teachers on, so that we are making sure that we're using the best practices and most effective strategies in the classroom. So that was a large amount of hours that I had an opportunity to spend facilitating that learning with teachers. And then the teachers then could take that back to their grade level teams within their building, so that we were making sure that that impact spread outside of that curriculum mapping meeting as well. I also had an opportunity to work on the Turner Early Literacy Council, which this was great because it was an opportunity to work with not just people within the school district, but we were working with community members as well. And we all worked together to make a plan for how we're going to impact literacy with our earliest learners within Turner. So that birth to 5 age range, and making sure that we're giving those literacy opportunities there as well, and making some changes within the district and within the community so that we can have a greater impact moving forward. And that was something that was new to me this year that I had an opportunity to seek out, and I'm glad I did because I was able to make connections within the community as well. When looking at my elementary artifacts, I was able to do many things that were really exciting and things that I haven't had an opportunity to do before. I worked with my mentor principal on updating her school mission and vision statements, and also helping her create her school improvement plan. And at first, I just was going through that process and observing her. And then as time went on, then I was able to lead some of her staff meetings where we were going through the process. So one in particular that I led was a 5 essentials reflection, and we used that information to guide what was important in their school mission and vision, and also what that would look like in the school improvement plan. So the 5 essentials is a survey that all teachers, parents, and students who are in grades 4 or higher take every year, that just talks about what is going well at our school and what do we need to work on. And so we use that data to help guide us and see, like, what do we value and where do we want to grow at. And so that was something that I wasn't able to do before, and getting that opportunity was a great way to see how that information I had learned in my intro to school administration course in July, how that would apply in a real life situation starting in September. So we worked on that throughout this entire school year. So getting through that process was really impactful and helped me grow as a leader. Another opportunity that came up a lot for me this year is I took some time to shadow some principals on their day-to-day activities, and I also got to step in and fill in for some administrators when they were out. And I did that with the support of either the other, like, vice principal that was there, or district administrators. This was impactful because I got to experience real life situations that come up every day for a principal. So during one of the times I was covering for a principal, there were no substitutes. So I had to look at the whole building as a whole and decide who could cover classrooms when, because we had to have the classrooms covered for the students to have a teacher there that day. And that's something that I think when you're not in that day-to-day that you don't necessarily get to see. But that for this year was a real issue for us across our district with the sub shortage. So getting an opportunity to see how that would work and how to problem solve that really helped me grow as a leader. I also got to handle some discipline issues and talking with parents and making some decisions about what that would look like, which really helped me with actually putting ethical practices in place in real life. Another activity that we did, or that I collaborated with a building principal on, is at a staff meeting. She did an activity. We called it the paper plate reflection activity. We didn't have a fancier name for that or anything, but we were looking to improve culture. A lot of the teachers were feeling down and out this year, and so we wanted to see how we could help alleviate some of their stress. So she had them write on a paper plate, what are some things you would like taken off your plate to lighten the load a little bit and ease some of your stress. After completing that activity in a staff meeting, then she collaborated with me and we came up with some ways that we could help alleviate that stress. It was just one small way to kind of help improve the school culture and make a little bit more of a positive working environment for the teachers and to ease a little bit of that stress. And that was just one of those small things that I think the principal did to help impact her school culture in a positive way without a lot of work. And it really did help the culture moving forward within the school year. I also led a cohort, and our cohorts run across the entire school year. We met 5 different times, and I led a cohort, Afanis and Pinnell 2.0 cohort, which is our literacy curriculum. And so I surveyed the teachers who were in my cohort and looked for which aspects of that curriculum they are struggling with the most and wanted more information on. And then I used that information to guide me as I planned. And then the teachers were able to learn, get some new knowledge, and look at how that implementation would look like within their classroom. And they got to work on planning and then reflecting with each other going forward about what that will look like in their actual classroom. I will continue on with this cohort in the next school year, but we're going to take it to the next level where we're going to actually record ourselves teaching lessons and give each other feedback to help them continue to grow in their literacy instruction. So I'm really excited and looking forward to that for next year. As far as the secondary level went, secondary was, it's not where I normally work with elementary. So I wanted to make sure to get into secondary as much as I could and seek out time there. It wasn't as easy to get as the elementary hours, but I was able to really get in and see some great things happening in our secondary school. So one that was the most impactful for me was observing an IEP at the secondary level. I often, as an elementary teacher, saw what it looked like from the elementary side when you're first evaluating a student, and I kind of got to see this time where you're nearing the end and making plans for what happens after your student gets out of school. That was impactful for me to see how that whole process and cycle takes place within a student's school career. And it really just was impactful to see how the school administrator handled difficult conversations with the parent and helped me grow with those communication skills as well. Another activity that I did that I found to be super helpful was I observed two professional learning communities at the secondary level. I go to professional learning communities at the elementary level a lot. So getting to see one at the secondary level let me see how they are very similar and we're still talking about the same types of issues, but it's just a higher level of content. And so that was really impactful for me to see those similarities between the two. And I also got to see how a school administrator helps facilitate those conversations at the secondary level, guiding them towards academics and focusing on standards as well. Another thing that I did that was incredibly helpful for me is I help plan a PD session over fact fluency. We have a lot of students who are scoring below grade level right now, even at the middle school and secondary level or high school level. And so I helped plan a professional development for them that would help strengthen fact fluency that is impacting students, especially in the middle school level. So that was something that I hadn't done before that I had an opportunity to do, and adjusting for the secondary level was interesting and something that I'm glad that I had an opportunity to do as well. I am so grateful to have had this opportunity and the opportunity to get to work at all different levels of a school district was extremely impactful for me, and I feel lucky to have had this opportunity. Thank you so much for listening to my highlight video.